Let's be honest, does your monthly cloud bill feel like a total surprise? Kind of like a roller coaster you never actually signed up for. Yeah, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to unpack a powerful FinOps framework that's all about taming that chaos and bringing your cloud spending into crystal clear focus. So let's start with why the old ways just don't cut it anymore.
So what's the big problem here? Why do the old school, familiar ways of budgeting just completely fall apart in the cloud? It's a huge question a lot of companies are struggling with, and the answer, well, it really comes down to a fundamental mismatch.
Okay, picture this. A traditional budget, the kind that's set once a year. That's like using a printed paper map of a very calm lake. But the cloud? The cloud is a fast-flowing, unpredictable river. That old map is completely useless because it just wasn't made for that kind of environment. Traditional budgets are slow and fixed. The cloud is dynamic, scalable, and on demand. They're just playing two totally different games.
So here's what we're going to cover. We'll dig into that big problem, introduce a new playbook to fix it, map out what your journey to getting better looks like, talk about putting the right team together, and finally figure out what it really means to win at this new budgeting game.
All right, so if that old paper map is useless, what's our modern-day GPS for this problem? Well, it's a new playbook built around the FinOps framework, and it's designed specifically for navigating the wild financial currents of the cloud. At its heart, FinOps budgeting is a strategic and, this is the most important part, an ongoing process. Those are the key words. This is not a once-a-year thing you set and forget. It is a constant cycle of setting limits, keeping a close eye on spending, and managing it all to make sure it's actually helping the business get where it wants to go. Now, here's what's so smart about this approach. It clearly separates two ideas that, let's face it, get blurred together all the time. This quote just nails it. Forecasting is a promise. Budgeting is the organization's commitment. Let's really break down what that means. Here's how it works in the real world. A forecast is basically a promise from your engineering and product teams. They're saying, hey, we believe we can deliver this much value for this much spend. The budget, then, is the organization's commitment back to those teams. It's the pledge of funds to make that value happen. You see, it becomes a two-way street, one that's built on trust and accountability. So, to make a dynamic system like this actually work, you need some flexibility, some wiggle room. And the key tool for that is something called the holdback. Think of it as a slice of the budget that you intentionally don't assign to anything specific. It's your safety net. It gives budget owners the agility they need to handle unexpected changes, maybe cover small overages, or fix a forecasting mistake without blowing up the whole plan. Now look, you're not going to adopt this new way of thinking overnight. It's a journey, not just flipping a switch. The FinOps framework maps this out really nicely in 3 clear stages: crawl, walk, and run. So you can figure out exactly where you are today and what you need to do next. So let's break this down. In the crawl stage, you're probably wrestling with spreadsheets, tracking things by hand once a year, and just trying to keep your spending within 20% of the budget. As you get better and move to the walk stage, you're using more structured tools. You have regular review meetings, and you're tightening that variance goal down to under 15%. And then you get to the run stage. This is the big league. You've got automated data, distributed ownership, short quarterly cycles, and you're aiming for an incredibly accurate variance of less than 12%.
And here's a critical mindset shift. This is so important. The goal is not just to spend less money. The goal is to be accurate. Being way under budget is not a victory. All that unused funding, that's a missed opportunity. That's capital that could have been invested to create more value somewhere else in the business. Precision, that is the real win here.
So who makes all of this happen? You know, it's really tempting to think this is just a job for the finance department, but it is absolutely not. True FinOps budgeting is a team sport. It requires real collaboration from people all across the organization.
Building this team means bringing everybody to the table. You've got your FinOps practitioners who are sort of facilitating the whole thing. You've got product owners defining what value even means. You've got finance, of course, procurement, your engineers on the front lines, and leadership setting the overall direction. Everybody has a crucial part to play.
Let's see how this team actually works together. So imagine an automated alert pops up predicting an overspend. First, engineering and product get together to investigate the root cause, what's actually happening. Then, the team might request some extra funds from that holdback we talked about. If it's a bigger deal, it gets escalated up the chain to a higher-level budget owner or finance. Then, leadership steps in to assess the business impact. How does this affect our overall goals? And finally, a decision gets made to either approve the funds or take some other action. See? It's a clear, collaborative process, not a last-minute fire drill.
Okay, you have the right process. You've got the right people on the team. But how do you know if you're actually winning? Well, it all comes down to measuring success with some very clear, tangible metrics.
The number one KPI here is simple. It's the variance between your budget and what you actually spend. The goal, as you mature, is to shrink that variance. You want to move from that 20% variance you might have in the crawl stage all the way down to a super lean 12%, or even less in the run stage. That's what predictability and control really look like.
You know, a really mature practice doesn't just produce good numbers on a chart. It creates clear, shared assets for the entire organization. This means everybody understands the budget strategy. You have defined budget allocations for all your systems. You have an established process for making adjustments when you need to. And you have a totally transparent strategy for how that all-important holdback gets used. And why does any of this matter? What's the real end game? It is all about empowering your teams. When budgeting works this way, they can operate faster, they can be more autonomous, and they're finally free from that awful gridlock of waiting for budget approvals. The budget gets transformed from a roadblock into a launchpad for speed and innovation.
So this leaves us with one final thought, a question to take back to your organization. Take a good, hard look at your current process and ask yourself this: is your cloud budget a frustrating constraint that's holding you back, or is it a strategic advantage that's actually fueling your business forward? The choice and the framework to get there is all yours.